Fox News reporter Peter Doocy is back in the White House press briefing room and is simply determined to end up humiliating himself at absolutely every opportunity. Now, I want to be really clear here, because every time we talk about stuff like this, I get emails. David, how are you now just accepting everything that the White House press secretary? No. Every White House press secretary distorts, answers selectively, frames everything that an administration does in the best possible light. This is their job. That being said, there is a real difference when Jen Psaki replaced Kayleigh McEnany, when Joe Biden became president and Donald Trump left. There was a significant change, which was that, at least in principle, the briefings became about substance, and most reporters were able to start asking mostly substantive questions. You still get PR answers. That's the role of a press secretary. I'm not denying that. Fox News' Peter Doocy is a notable exception to most reporters are trying to ask substantive questions. He's been focused from day one on asking bizarre, leading, loaded, inaccurate, and even childish questions, constantly trying to trap Jen Psaki and even Joe Biden sometimes in gotcha type situations. And Peter Doocy did the exact same thing on Friday. That's the most recent press briefing as of right now. I think there is one scheduled for a little bit later today. And Jen Psaki was having absolutely none of it. Peter Doocy here is trying to jump all over a report that the U.S. Surgeon General's office put out, which is that there is a small number of primary disseminators of COVID and vaccine disinformation on social media, 12 people, in fact. We've known for some time that a huge portion of the anti-vax disinformation originates from a small number of accounts. They've been tracking vaccine disinformation at the Surgeon General's level, and Peter Doocy frames it as a personal targeted spying campaign. And here is how that exchange went. Take a listen to this.
Okay, so these 12 people who you have on a list, 12 individuals, do they know?
Even this idea of a list as nefarious. How else do you categorize things? Instead of a list, you have what by definition, if you're aware of 12 people, it's colloquially a list, but he's even trying to weaponize list. So then later right wingers can say, this is a McCarthyite list of some kind. Okay.
That somebody at the Surgeon General's office is going through their profile?
I'm happy to get you the citation of where that comes from. There's no secret list. I will tell you that these are people who are sharing information on public platforms on Facebook, information that is traveling, is inaccurate. Our biggest concern here, and I frankly think it should be your biggest concern, is the number of people who are dying around the country because
that's not his biggest concern, Jen. No, it's just not.
Getting misinformation that is leading them to not take a vaccine.
But
young people, old people, kids, children, this is all a lot of them are being impacted by misinformation.
The big concern, though, I think for a lot of people on Facebook is that now this is Big Brother watching you.
They're more concerned about that than people dying across the country.
Most people on Facebook are saying, why is the anti-vaccine stuff even being allowed on Facebook?
Because of a pandemic where misinformation is traveling on social media platforms, that feels unlikely to me. If you have the data to back that up, I'm happy to discuss it.
About things that are
So this is quite well handled. It's not some Jen Psaki victory party. Jen Psaki is a mouthpiece for the administration. This is her job. It's no special virtue. But she's doing a good job of pointing out, hold on, the vaccine disinformation leads to death. That should be the primary concern. 99+% of hospitalizations are unvaccinated. 99.2% of the deaths last month were unvaccinated. And in comes Steve Doocy again. And this is how you craft narrative to later repeat on Fox News.
Announcement from yesterday. For how long has the administration been spying on people's Facebook profiles looking for vaccine misinformation?
Well, that was quite a loaded and inaccurate question, which I would refute.
How?
Well, Peter, first of all, as you know, we're in a regular touch with a range of media outlets.
And we expect the White House to watch
let me
you
finish.
Fox, but
As we are,
He's just like an insufferable little kid.
are in regular touch with social media platforms. This is publicly open information, people sharing information online, just as you are all reporting information on your news stations.
But, okay. Announcement from yesterday.
So, by the way, just to be thorough, very well sourced. This Jen Psaki is communicating about research that found 12 people are behind a huge amount of the vaccine hoax disinformation on social media. Okay. There's a very good NPR article about it from a couple months ago. It's been continued to be looked at. Researchers found 12 people are responsible for the bulk of the misleading claims and outright lies about COVID vaccines that proliferate on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Disinformation Dozen produced 65% of the shares of anti-vaccine misinformation on social media platforms. So there's no doubt about the data. But the concern with imaginary spying, when what we're talking about is the enforcement of terms of service and a study of where this stuff is coming from, the priorities are completely backwards. And Peter Doocy, Steve Doocy's son, continuing to just make a fool out of himself. But the problem is, a lot of the Trump supporters don't see it this way. You might say a normal person would see this and they would say, hold on a second. 99% of the hospitalized are unvaccinated. 99% of the deaths are unvaccinated now. If you perpetuate anti-vax disinformation, which prevents people from getting vaccinated, you're essentially leading to people's deaths. That's incredibly serious and absolutely immoral. The focus should be on stopping that. But no, it's about the Surgeon General's office, quote, spying. And unfortunately, it works. It works on the Fox News audience. It works on the legacy Rush Limbaugh audience that is now kind of fragmented and listening to different shows. So completely missing the plot, and Peter Doocy continuing to make a fool out of himself on a regular basis. If you've been watching the show, you've probably heard me talk about how much I love my Helix mattress. Well, I was really excited to hear that Helix has launched a new company called Allform, which makes premium, customizable sofas and chairs with the same level of quality and comfort that I expect from these guys. And Allform is one of our sponsors today. They're giving you 20% off at allform.com/Pacman. They actually sent me a couch, which I put in my living room at home. It's now my favorite piece of furniture in the house. It took me just minutes to set it up. It's solidly built. It's huge. It's roomy. It has a modern minimalist design, which I love, but it's also very comfortable. Fabric is soft, clearly very high quality. It has become the focal point of my living room. Their prices are very reasonable. And when you get a new sofa or chair, you get 100 days to decide if you want to keep it. And the best part is everything comes with a lifetime warranty. Stop buying poorly made furniture. Go to customize your own Allform sofa or chair right now and get 20% off your entire order when you get there by going to allform.com/Pacman. I've also put the link right underneath this video.